I was speaking with one of my coaching clients last week, and he said that life had passed him by, and he sometimes worries that it's too late for him to find a woman to marry and settle down and start a family with. And I had a lot of sympathy for him, because since I started dating, I have always wanted and expected to be a father. And here I am, turning 40 next month, and I'm childless, despite that being my initial goal. Life didn't turn out as I had planned. And maybe your life didn't turn out the way that you had planned either. In this video, I want to talk about a perspective that has totally changed my life. Now, I've been repairing my life for more than the last 8 years. And for most of that time, I had wished that I had had emotionally stable parents who prepared me for life rather than sabotaging my life. And I often felt like I didn't stand a chance of turning out normal with a normal life, with the background that I had. If only I knew what I knew now, I would have made such different choices in life. I'd have done so much better. I would have had a loving wife and family that I always wanted, and we would all be happy and loved and confident and free to be ourselves. And this was a story I told myself, and I'm sure you have your own stories. But what do these stories tell us? What do these personal histories give us? Well, firstly, it's a form of self-pity, and I don't even mean that as a negative or critical term. Those of us who never had space to practice self-compassion in general tend to get all of it in huge hits of self-pity like this. Maybe the times that we feel like crap are the only times that we get to think of ourselves in a kind, sympathetic, caring way. Maybe we spend most of our lives not caring about ourselves. Instead, we put other people first, and then when we can finally tell our own tragic story, the floodgates of self-pity open. It's the self-compassion and self-care equivalent of not eating all day, and then finally, just before it's time for bed, you go raiding the fridge for the sweetest, fattiest, most calorie-dense foods. It fulfills our immediate needs, but leaves us feeling pretty awful. And these personal tragedies also give us meaning and structure. They justify why we are where we are. I didn't even see my story as assigning blame. Well, sometimes I did when I needed to grieve what was lost. But more than that, it was a way of understanding how I got to where I am today. Understanding the one thing that those who claim to love me never gave me. I at least could now give that understanding to myself. But if these stories are the only stories we tell ourselves, we can be left without motivation to change. If we only tell a sad story, we will continue to play the sad character in a sad story. Perhaps we need a better story than the one of regret. To bring up another story, in The Lord of the Rings, Frodo says to the wizard Gandalf, "I wish the ring had never come to me," to which Gandalf replies, "So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." I covered in another video my experience with ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. In this treatment, where I lost my identity as Chris and came back 6 times, each time I came back, I had this feeling that I am just playing the character of Chris, that this person speaking to you right now isn't my real or final identity, that I am the universe currently just playing this game through the body of Chris. And with that feeling being repeated multiple times, it became really difficult to keep treating seriously my traumas and the things I missed out on in life. Like in that Lord of the Rings quote, "At this level, Chris, of the game of life, all I have to decide is what to do with the time given to me." And telling myself a sad story contributes precisely 0 to actually making progress in my life and exploring the possibilities that I have in my life today. And while that ketamine therapy was intense, literally like dying and coming back to life 6 times, effectively, it just accelerated the process of dying and coming back to life that are actually happening in our lives all the time. What do I mean by this? Well, every cell in your body is constantly being replaced. After, on average, about 7 years, there is no cell in your body that is the same. And if no part of you is the same, then who are you? Whose story should be told about you today? You're not even the same person who went through those traumas. You've just inherited their memories, their name, their social security number. The things that they really cared about are not the things that you have to care about. You get to choose. You get to tell the story that you want to. Can you change the past? No, of course not. But every day of your life is a potential new story for you to write, based on the character that you wake up as today. In the late 80s and early 90s, there was a TV series called Quantum Leap, which I found out was actually remade last year. Anyway, the main character in this show is a time traveler who jumps into different people's bodies in order to right a wrong in their lives and thereby fixing history. The freedom that taking control of our own story, separating today from the story that came before, the freedom that that gives us is that we get to do that same quantum leap into our own lives. We, the universe, get to wake up tomorrow in the body of someone who is worthy of love, who matters, who can choose whatever healthy or harmful habits they want to participate in that day. We don't have to run our lives on autopilot, repeating the same patterns. We can treat each day as if we've jumped into the body of someone who matters, and you get to rewrite history. And their face might look very familiar to you. Stories have only as much power as we give them. They require someone to believe them in order for them to have any strength. You don't have to treat your old story as true or even the only story. So I would ask you, what story will you write when tomorrow you wake up in the body of someone whose life you've been sent to save? If you've made it this far, please drop a like, comment, and share this with anyone you think might be helped by it. Thank you very much for listening.